Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Art and Recap. I'm your artist Faye, and today we are reading chapter 172 to 176 of Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 172 is called Autopsy, and here we find out that yes, the politician is dead and Captain Dunes wants KLEIN to help out the police so that they can figure out, how he died because it's super mysterious, right? He's just found dead in his home. KLEIN asks Captain Dunes when the guy actually died, and Captain Dunes is like, well, he died between 9 and 11 last night. Because depending on the time, like how long the person has been dead, not really the time, but how long the person has been dead, KLEIN can find out so much more information from the spirit himself. Because again, he can just summon the spirit, right? But of course, it can't be that easy because the guy died between 9 and 11 last night. So KLEIN's like, well, I can't do much about that. But Captain Dunes told him that he shouldn't be worrying too much about finding all of the information about the dead guy because he's just there to assist the police officer. And the police officer that he's going to be partnering with is Inspector Tolle. We met him a couple chapters ago, not just a couple, but actually a long time ago. I actually forgot this guy existed, but I was like, oh no, it's not Bitch McBatten, Bitch Mountbatten. Also, we find out that any Beyonder can actually learn things like spirit vision, divination, and ritualistic magic. But it always depends, like the results always depends on the pathways, or I guess also the Beyonder themselves. Because here it states that even though Captain Dunes and Leonard are like, they know the spirit vision, they have spirit vision, they cannot see the same things that KLEIN does. Like they can only see faint white or light blue auras of people, but KLEIN, he can differentiate the parts, the different body parts and status of those different body parts from the people whenever he activates his spirit vision, which is why he can tell if someone is sick, right? Or if they should, get their kidneys checked. Captain Dunes also tells KLEIN that his new uniform is waiting for him, also his new documents, because again, he got promoted, right? And KLEIN's like, wow, that was super fast because he just got promoted yesterday and they already have his uniform ready. Like, damn, okay. They were quick. So KLEIN goes to the bathroom and gets changed into his uniform. Also, we get a small sentence here that says that KLEIN also relieved himself in the bathroom, and I was like, oh damn, thank you Cuttlefish for telling us that KLEIN is also still human and he has to take a shit and piss like every other human person out there. Thank you! When I read that, it reminded me of Where Winds Meet. In Where Winds Meet, there is this area called Kaifeng, and it's like super big. I think it's pronounced Kaifeng, but I can't be sure, so I'm so sorry about my pronunciation. But anyways, in this area, there are a lot of latrines scattered throughout the city, and you have to take a shit or take a piss in there to get some points and echo jade rewards. And I was like, oh damn, the devs, like this game has so many unexpected things to it. I would have never expected to be able to take a shit in Kaifeng. KLEIN meets up with Inspector Tolle, and Inspector Tolle notices the stars in KLEIN's epaulets, meaning that they are now at the same rank. And he's like, damn, we're the same rank now and it hasn't even been a month. He's like a little bit jealous of that, and KLEIN actually wanted to reply seriously to him and say the danger that we encounter is 10 times worse than yours. But then he's like, wait, I'm a clown now. I actually need to be a little bit more of a jokester. So instead he said, maybe in another few months you'll have to call me sir. Thankfully, Inspector Tolle actually has a sense of humor and laughed at what KLEIN said. KLEIN tells a joke on their way out. He says, I feel like we could even make an audience at the circus laugh. And Tolle, he agreed with KLEIN and says that some circuses are trying to use fat and skinny, tall and short clown combinations in their performances. because the two of them together make quite a vision, because Tolle is overweight and Klein is a skinny man, and also Tolle is incredibly tall and Klein is shorter than him. So he's like, this is a contrast that the circus is trying to implement right now. And Klein was thinking, well, I didn't really think it that way. I was thinking more of a beast tamer and a brown bear, but I'm not gonna say that because I think that would be too mean. Is basically what Klein was thinking. Because in his mind, Tolle is similar to that of a bear because he's tall and he's, I guess, also a little bit hairy and, you know, the overweight thing. So he likens him more to a bear. On the way to the bungalow of the politician, you know what? Here's the thing I would like to also mention is that whenever I read that the person has a bungalow, I keep thinking that it's actually like a small homey house, like, you know, a cottage, a one-story home, something very cute and nice. But this guy's house, this bungalow he lives in, is like a mansion. It has several guest rooms, okay? So I'm like, is that still a bungalow? Anyway, on the way there, Klein was asking Tolle about, you know, the case. He's like, okay, what happened here? And Tolle is like, well, the guy, the politician Maynard, we found him at the guest room's bed, naked. And yeah, and Klein's like, oh, he sleeps separately from his wife, but apparently that's not the case. His wife is actually away. She's at Backland attending a social ball, so she's definitely not the suspect here at the moment, at least. Because she is also someone. She's the daughter of someone from the House of Commons, so she's really really high up. Yeah, Maynard was throwing a party last night, so yeah. They went inside the bungalow house, and Klein saw a bunch of, you know, aristocrats milling around, getting asked by the police officers about what's going on. And Tolle brings him over to the guest room where they found the dead man. His corpse was still there, by the way, and Inspector Tolle left Klein to do his own thing, and Klein started doing his ritual. And oh my god, the ritual, the things Klein saw was insane. Basically, he saw he he watched porn in the spirit realm on accident. It's like clicking a link that you think would lead to one thing, but instead it leads to a suspicious porn website. So Klein gets out of the spirit vision that he was having and was like, damn, was not expecting that. And then he started drawing a portrait of the lady that the politician was having intercourse with. And he was about to head out, but then suddenly, the corpse of the dead man stands up and looks at Klein with like saliva drooling from his lips and really vacant eyes, and was like, damn, what the fuck is going on here? Chapter 173 is called Zombification. So here's the thing. When I read the last passage from the previous chapter, I actually thought, oh, is this guy actually, you know, like he's actually still alive and it's a case of mistaken death? Because that sometimes happens, right? Especially in the Victorian era. That's why some people, well, not really in the Victorian era, but like in the good old age of the Dark Ages. That's why there's like people who put like they attach bells on the limbs of the corpses so that in case they are still alive, they can ring the bell and notify the grave digger or well, not grave digger, the one that's like watching over the graves. What do you call them actually? And also the person that does mortuary stuff, you know what I mean, so that they can be notified that, hey, I'm still alive, I am not dead. Actually, I was thinking that could be the case because, you know, I don't remember this happening at all in the Donghua, because in the Donghua I remember Captain Duns and Klein actually inspecting this whole murder thing together, but here it's just Klein. So I'm like, wait, I don't remember this. I don't know what's going to happen, which is what I really like. I like that I didn't know what's going to happen. So anyway, the politician Maynard, he lunged forward towards KLEIN, and KLEIN is like, what the fuck is going on? Luckily, KLEIN is now a sequence 8 clown, so he actually managed to dodge the attack. He was thinking, hey, if I were still a sequence 9, I definitely wouldn't have been able to dodge that. I would have to like roll to the side. And KLEIN landed on the chair, the behind the chair. What is it called? The one where you lean back. So he landed over there, and it said that he landed like a cat, and I was like, oh, is this where the Cat Moretti fan art started? Anyway, KLEIN hits the zombie with his cane, and it stumbles, and he was about to shoot it with his revolver, but then he stopped and it's like, wait a second, if I shoot this guy with my revolver, how am I supposed to explain this to the police, right? Because they would be like, wait, this guy didn't have any bullet shots on his body before. What happened here? So he's like, wait, I'm gonna use the charms that he has instead. He used the calming charm first, the requiem charm. The zombie became super peaceful for a short second until it notices KLEIN's left pocket again, and then it lunged at KLEIN, and KLEIN's like, shit. And KLEIN, with his quick thinking, actually started using the slumber charm instead, and that put the zombie to sleep, aka it died a second time, I guess. KLEIN then does a ritual to purify the zombie so that it doesn't awaken again, and once everything is settled, KLEIN used his spirit vision and divination to confirm that the zombie is not going to wake up ever. And once that was done, he's like, why would he suddenly come back to life? And then he remembered, oh, wait a second. It kept looking at my left pocket. So he digs out whatever's in his left pocket, and it turns out to be the whistle that Professor Isaac gave to him. And I was like, wait, is it possible that this is the reason why that guy resurrected and it zombified Maynard? And he's like, well, if that's the truth, then it's possible. It's really, really possible that Mr. Isaac is a descendant of death. So yeah, that could be incredibly possible, actually. So then he goes out, and Inspector Tolle, who was guarding the door, was like, what happened back there? Because he was hearing some noises, right? That KLEIN was fighting the zombie. And KLEIN's like, well, you know, the member of Parliament Maynard came back to life and tried to give me a passionate hug. And the Tolle is like, don't joke like that. But KLEIN's like, wait, why are you so serious? I mean, it's the truth, right? So KLEIN explains to Tolle that, hey, that guy, the politician, he actually became a zombie, and I kind of had to hit him with my cane. So there's like a mark over there now. And then Tolle's like, wait, holy shit. And then he had to check the corpse, and was like, okay, no, this isn't too bad. I can totally excuse this, right? And KLEIN's like, okay, that's good. And then he explains to Tolle what he saw in his like spirit vision thingy when he was doing his divination. And he explained that politician Maynard, he died doing activities that should only be done between a husband and a wife. And when I read that, I was like, girl, KLEIN, you are so eloquent. I wouldn't have been able to describe that at all. He's like, and at the climax of his joy, he clutched his chest where his heart is. And Tolle was like, wait, are you serious? That is the cause of his death? And he was like giving him a wink wink, nudge nudge kind of look, and kind of like, yeah, in theory, yes, but you should really wait for the autopsy. And then KLEIN handed the inspector the portrait that he drew, and the inspector just looked at it real quickly and was like, oh, it's Madame Sharon. And KLEIN's like, wait, you know her? Is she famous? And Tolle explained that, yeah, Madame Sharon is just the prettiest widow in Tingen. She's like the most sought after lady in social settings, and she was the second wife of Baron Coy, but unfortunately, he died, and that's why she's now a widow again. And yeah, so he was explaining all about her. And you know what? Every time I was reading his explanation about her, I was imagining, when they were introducing Regina George from Mean Girls, I was imagining that with the music in the background. So Klein was listening. He was like, yeah, okay, I see. So she's an exceptional socialite. I get it, I get it. Anyway, my job here is done. I am gonna go off. Bye. Chapter 174 is called Madame Sharon. Okay, so Inspector Tola, he didn't want Klein to leave because he's like, what would happen if Klein leaves now and some supernatural shenanigans happens again, because a dead guy just got resurrected. So he's like, wait, just how about you stay here until we finish questioning Madame Sharon? And Klein's like, sure, I guess, but I would like to have a private room to myself to rest a bit, because he did a lot of spell casting, and and he's really tired and he wants to do some cogitation. Klein is really being careful with his feelings and mental health now because of what he see happen to old Neil. He doesn't want to lose control ever. Also, side note, I actually had to Google what cogitation means, because when I was reading this and I read cogitation for the first time, I was like thinking, oh, okay, so maybe they meant like he's meditating or something like that, because that's basically what they do in wuxia novels, right? Wuxia and Xianxia novels, they go into seclusion and meditate and clear their thoughts and their pathways and whatever, right? So I was thinking that might be the case here too, and apparently cogitation means like sorting through their thoughts. So technically it's kind of like meditation, but I just find the word cogitation so awkward because it's just not a word that's used a lot, at least not in my vocabulary. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's a really awkward translation because it just seems like he's meditating, right? Anyway, Inspector Tolle comes back and picks up Klein to basically tell him he's allowed to go back to the office again. And Klein is like, okay, so did Madame Sharon admit that she was with Maynard last night? And Inspector Tolle tells him that, yeah, she did. She said that they were under the influence of alcohol and that they couldn't control themselves, but then he died of a heart attack and she was so scared that she just left, because again, someone died. He also finds out that Mrs. Maynard is back from Backlund and she's accusing Madame Sharon of murdering her husband, and that she will sue her and the police for negligence of their job and whatever. And Klein activates his spirit vision out of habit, and he sees that the emotion that is Mrs. Maynard's feeling is reflecting in her aura, which is angry and black and whatever. I don't know if it's black, actually. I don't think it was said it was black, but anyway, when he looks over to Madame Sharon, who was hiding behind people, looking so innocent and confused and lost and cute, her emotions are shaded in blue. She's like rational thinking and calm, and he was thinking, wow, okay, as expected of a socialite, they are not innocent at all. So then he goes back to Zutaland Street and takes over the Chinese Gate guarding duty again. And once he was done with that, he's technically supposed to go home, right? But today is a special day. He actually has an appointment with the asylum doctor, Daxter Guderian. So they meet up at the shooting range again, and Daxter looks at Klein and was like, "You're much more confident than before." And Klein was thinking to himself, well, of course, I just advanced to sequence 8. But instead of saying that, he said instead, because I only used about a month's time to master the power of my potion completely. And Daxter is like, well, no need to rub that in. I know, you're great, duh. This made Klein realize that the clown has the power to suppress a spectator's ability with their lies, right? Daxter couldn't see through his lies at all. Klein then asks about Hood Eugene, and Daxter replies that the dude has gone insane for real. And Klein was thinking, well, it's really not surprising because he's going about the acting method incorrectly. Because Hood Eugene is a sequence 7 psychiatrist, but instead of going to the mental asylum as a psychiatrist, he went there as a mental patient. So he's been giving treatment to other patients while also acting as a mental patient there. So it was really it's not really going along with the name and the core values of a psychiatrist, I guess. Daxter tells him that there were no outsiders that had contacted him, and Klein was like, well, how about earlier has anyone ever visited him, or did he leave the asylum regularly for a period of time? And Dexter was like, well, there are members of the psychology alchemist that visited him, and one of them visited 3 times. His name was L. And Klein, before he could ask, he elaborated, but I heard from Hood Eugene that L was a pseudonym, so it's not his real name. And it turns out that his real name is actually Lanivus. And oh my god, when I read it, I was like, oh my god, I forgot about that fucker. I forgot about Lanivus. How could I forget about that guy? It's been ages, I know, okay? And also when I was reading that his title was L, I was thinking, is it possible that it's actually L, the letter, but because it was, said in a word, spoken out loud, Dexter thought that it actually meant L as in EL, kind of like a nickname Al, but E instead of A. You know what I mean? Chapter 175 is called Deduction. Okay, so now we know that Lanivus is involved, and Klein is like, Lanivus? The scammer Lanivus? What the hell? Is it possible that Lanivus is connected to Beyonder circles, or maybe he's a Beyonder himself? And then he remembered that there's actually a potion called the Marauder, and one of its pathways, sequence 8, is called Swindler, and that's exactly what Lanivus is doing right now. So he's like, it's very possible that this guy is actually a Beyonder. What the hell? So then he asked Dexter Gadarian, when was Mr. Lanivus's visit to Hood Eugene, like his last visit, right? And he said, oh, that was around early July. And Klein was thinking, early July, that's around the time when Lanivus's scam hasn't been exposed yet, so he's still in Tingen then. And he then asked, so does Hood Eugene actually mention this person usually? And he then gets the reply that no, that is actually not the case. In the cases of Sequence 7 psychiatrists, they are not someone who would just reveal anything by accident. Everything that they say is deliberate and calculated, basically. So the fact that he mentioned that Lanivus is, well, L is Lanivus, whatever, that just means some things. And he's like, is this guy hinting at me, talking about Lanivus because he knows that he will go insane in the future? Was that like some sort of warning to tell the psychiatrist alchemist about all of this? They talk and deduce a bunch of stuff, like how maybe he actually already knew and that he was tempted by something to actually still proceed even though he knows it's dangerous, yada yada yada. And Klein's like, oh man, it will be so much easier if the guy was dead, then I can ask his spirit some questions, but he is mentally unstable right now. And then he remembered that one time Madame Dali actually went inside his mind to try and get his lost memories out of him, and he's like, wait a second, maybe I can do something like that, but because I am new to this, maybe I should ask Madame Dali first if it's like an advanced thing and I should actually worry about myself. And if it's not possible for me to do it myself, then I can just tell it to Captain Dunes, and Captain Dunes will, request for Madame Dali to assist them. Anyway, Klein is finally able to go back home, and once he went inside the house, he sees Melissa sitting on the sofa, and she was like just staring blankly ahead of her as if she lost her soul. And Melissa was like, Melissa, are you all right? He also activated his spirit vision and found that nothing is wrong with her. So Melissa looks at him and was like, Bella, our maid, she's been recommending the way that her family prepares breakfast back at home, and I allowed her to do it because she said it's very delicious. And Klein said, oh, what method is that? And Melissa then said, well, she cooked all of the leftovers in a pot and then added water and bread. So I'm guessing that the food was really bad, and Melissa, she doesn't want to waste the food, so I guess that she ate all of her portions. And Benson was in the bathroom, and he came out and was like, oh, hey Klein, do you want your share of the breakfast? And Klein's like, no thank you, I've already eaten. And well, that's a pity, is what Benson says. And Melissa then was like, wait, you're back really late today. What's wrong with that? And Klein tells her, well, I have good news for you guys. And Melissa guessed that, hey, you passed the examination for the of the police department and can obtain an increase in salary, is what she said. And Klein's like, well, how am I supposed to surprise you guys like that if you guys know what's going to happen already? So Melissa actually guessed that he is now earning £6, and Klein didn't tell her that it's actually £10 because he wants to save some money for himself, right? So when Klein didn't say anything, she took that as a yes, and she's like, oh, this means that you can save money for your marriage in like 2 or 3 years. This is what Elizabeth told me. It's like the standard. And Klein is just quiet. It's like, you're right, okay. That should be considered far into the future, right? Let's just celebrate first, because now we can start eating white bread as our staple food, basically. Melissa then asked him if he wanted to come to the church with them and attend mass, and Klein was thinking to himself, I am already praying to the goddess every day. And he tells her, I need to catch on some sleep, sis. I had a long night, you know. And yeah, so he slept until past 12, and then he did his thing where he was searching for the red chimneys, and then night fell, and that is when he tried to summon Miss Dally's spirit guide messenger thing. Chapter 176 is called Letter. I'm going to be quick with the early part because basically it's just Klein summoning Miss Dally's summoned messenger, like the spirit messenger, and then handing it a letter, and him forgetting basically to mention Mr. Azik, like what the name for sequence 4, 5 or 4 is of the corpse collector pathway, because he thinks that Mr. Azik is on that pathway. Not that he was telling Miss Dally about Mr. Azik, just that he wanted to know about the name of that pathway, right? We take a break from Klein's POV to visit Theodoresha at Backland. She is currently gawking at the liaison in front of her because that person, the liaison, is actually a golden retriever, aka it's Susie. Audrey is using Susie as her messenger, and she's like, is Miss Audrey serious right now? Forrest, who was with Theodoresha, was like, maybe it's a magical creature, and she is like, well, I've never seen a magical creature that looks so much like a dog. And yeah, so Susie, she didn't speak at all, but she pointed at her belly with her paw, and there was a leather pouch tied to her and was hidden amidst her golden fur. She took the letter from her pouch, and Forrest was like, she was watching curiously, then her expression turned really weird when she noticed that the pouch is actually made of crocodile skin and that it looks like the work of the fashion designer Mr. Sates, aka it's really expensive. Susie was sent back to Audrey after she got the message from Theodoresha, and in Audrey's house, villa, we actually find her in her room, chilling, reading a letter that was sent by one of her brothers from the Balam Empire. So Susie enters her room, and you know what? I am surprised Audrey didn't go, "Aw, Susie, welcome back. You're such a good messenger dog. Who's the best girl?" Because I definitely would do that to my own dog. But I know my dog is very naughty and he's a little bit dumb at times. So, yeah. Audrey reads the message that Theodoresha sent her, and basically there isn't really much that's happened. There's no results so far from the investigation that they're doing on Chilancos, except that some vagrants did disappear around the Backland Bridge borough, but they can't be sure that it was Chilangos, because it's possible that the vagrants, they just changed their movement patterns, so they really still have to check that out. She writes a message to Theodoresha and said that, "Theo, I've prepared your reward. As long as you can complete the task, £450 will be yours." We also find out that Audrey is having trouble finding the ingredients for her telepathist potion. She already has the Farsman rabbit's spinal fluid, but she needs the rainbow salamander's pituitary gland. I don't know if I'm pronouncing all those things correctly. But she's like, Audrey, cheer up. At least you've digested the spectator potion completely. So yay, Audrey. Audrey sends Susie with the letter, and Susie goes away, and Audrey continues to read the letter that her brother sent her. And apparently her brother is at the southern continent at one of the colonized regions of the Balam Empire, and he is basically telling her to come visit him because that area is beautiful, it's abundant, it's got abundant sunlight, fresh air, a clean environment, yada yada yada. And then he is like, it's filled with very kind and obedient Balam people to make good servants. And I was like, oh god, colonizers! Very typical. At the end of his letter, he mentioned that he remembered that Audrey is really into mysticism and that he will actually start looking around it for her so that he can gift her whatever the hell it is he found. And after reading the letter, Audrey was like, my dearest brother Alfred is his name. She tells him that she's not a little girl anymore and that she doesn't like mysticism anymore and that he doesn't have to search for those kind of things for her, because she is actually worried that he'll put himself in danger because, you know, those kind of artifacts aren't exactly safe, especially for someone like him who is not a beyonder. So instead, she writes to him that she is very interested in biology now and that she is interested in the rainbow salamander because she needs it for her telepathist potion, and that she's asking him if he can find one of these creatures for her, or maybe even just a complete corpse that has been preserved because she just needs one of its organs, right? That's how the chapter ends, basically. Chapter 176. And yeah, that was a very fun chapter. I think that because we are almost done with volume 1 and we're on our way to volume 2, and volume 2 is going to be taking place in Backland, right? We saw that in the preview of the Donghua. I have a feeling that Cuttlefish is starting to sprinkle in a little bit more of the world that we will visit after Backland, which is probably the Balam Empire, because we are getting a lot of hints about, you know, their area over there, something about the god of death being related there, being praised, yada yada yada. So I have a feeling that we will actually meet up with Mr. Azik in that area at some point in the story, maybe in volume 2, in the middle of it, because again, Mr. Azik definitely knows that KLEIN is still alive, right? Because again, he is death, like he's related to death in some sort of way. So I have a feeling that at the end of the Donghua, he probably did some Beyonder magic, whatever, trying to contact KLEIN, and then he realized, hey, KLEIN is still alive. I don't know. That's a possibility. I'm going to make a tragic theory here, okay? So I'm going to say that perhaps this is just a headcanon. Audrey's brother Alfred is going to die when he is trying to find some Beyonder magic thing for Audrey. That's because he maybe received the letter late and didn't know that she's not interested in Beyonder stuff anymore, and he found a cursed artifact and he died because of that. Or maybe he did receive her letter and he is trying to find that salamander now, but the salamander turns out to be huge, humongous, and actually dangerous, and he died trying to capture it for her. Possibilities. I just feel like it might add a little more to her character development if someone from her life actually died, like a close relative, because it does feel like she's very close to her family. Anyway, what do you guys think of this episode? Before I go, please leave a like, subscribe, and a comment. It helps my channel out a lot. My commissions are open and my Vision link is down in the description below. Check out my story Dreaming of Aurora if you have the time. And finally, thanks to my patrons Robek, Veneric, and J-Vault Jevalitska for the support. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!